Hi, Sam. Hi, can you hear
Eric,
me? Yep.
bright and early. I can hear you fine.
Okay.
That's great.
I want to just test sharing the screen just to see if you could see everything on it.
Okay.
Okay, let's see here.
Can you see and hear me okay?
Yeah, you're coming in fine.
Okay.
All
I
right.
see the brain. Yes.
You see the brain, and could you see on the right the notes and at the bottom an egg timer?
Yes.
Good.
It's small, so I'm gonna have to throw it up on my big screen. So if I'm looking at it, I'm probably gonna be looking in this direction. So
All right. Well, let me see if I expand this out. Does this look any better? A little bit more
on a
space.
small screen, it's gonna be small, especially since some of the screen is taken up for the participants.
All
But
right. So
yeah,
is this like good enough for people to read in the session or?
not on my small screen.
No. Okay.
But if I put it on a big screen here, hang on,
Mm-hmm.
and I expand it. Actually, I could try moving my camera also. I have a plug-in camera.
Yeah, I'm just wondering for people, maybe people are on a phone or, yeah, that may be hard.
Oh, on a phone, it would be impossible.
Yeah. So let me just see if I add a node to the brain here.
I love the fact that you're using the brain, by the way. I've been a long-time brain user since before 2010.
Mm-hmm.
And
Cool.
so I have my own brains going all the way back to V7. But
Nice.
unfortunately, I got a very bad event where I lost a lot of data on the brain.
Mm.
And that killed it for me for about 5 or 6 years. So
Mm.
I'm considering going back to it. Echo, cancel.
You picked up on something. Yeah, let's see how it works just for making things visible as people are talking. I'm really going to be typing in the notes and then we could organize it later. Let me just see like half and half.
Actually, the background is really bad. I don't want all that stuff visible in the background. I'm going to keep the camera over here.
Yeah, sure.
It's still not great there, but
Yeah.
less of that stuff. So I'm just going to be like looking away. So I'm not exactly going to be like making eye contact like
Yeah, that's fine. Mostly we want to capture what people say.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm just going to put the ground rules up front. It's a round robin discussion. So you're the first in, you would go first. Maximum 3 minutes each. And there's a little egg timer that's not intrusive. So you can see when your 3 minutes is up. No interruptions. After sharing, verify that your points are expressed in the map, but it'll be just, I'll be taking notes as people talk, and I just want to make sure the notes are accurate. We could always map it out later.
Good.
And for everybody, identify any connections that should be made in the map, like between what someone else said and what you brought up, topics.
So I assume you're a paying member of the Brain?
No, I'm just using the free account.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I mean, I may in the future if I need that. I mean, I downloaded the desktop app, so I could do more with that.
So the free version, last time I checked, it was not shareable, right? You could not actually share it.
Paid. Well, I could share a link to this brain.
Yes, but they can't both read and write. I mean, they can't both write.
Yeah, you can't have more than one person writing.
Hey,
so
Josh.
Hi, Josh. Okay.
Yeah, so that was the big problem, is that sharing was going to be kind of expensive.
Yeah, they have a TeamBrain product for people who need to collaborate together on a brain. Yeah.
If I was to upgrade, I called them this week, and they told me it would be about $150 for me to upgrade to this version. And then there on out, it would be like $100 or $150 a year every year after that.
Okay. Yeah, it depends on how you're using it. Hi, Stacy.
Hey, Stacy.
Hi, just feeding the dog. Be there in a minute.
Okay.
Jerry.
Yep.
Morning.
What are you talking about?
The brain. You know, Jerry's brain.
Have you talked to Carl, Tim? Carl Henford?
Carl who?
You're really muffled, Josh, today, your audio.
How about now?
Much better. Much better.
It was just away from my mouth.
Okay.
Have you talked to Carl H? I can't pronounce his last name properly. Henstred, our friend here at the GCC.
Why him in
Hello.
particular, Josh?
Oh, because he was looking for people to give a license to TheBrain to work with TheBrain on. We were doing that last year, and he was asking everybody.
Oh, interesting.
And Sam is trying to pay the money for it. And if I'm using one of the licenses that he has and you can use it better, I would give it to you, Sam.
Yeah, I had been paying for TheBrain since version 7. I think they're on version 9 or 10 now, or maybe even 11. But as I was telling Eric, I had a really bad experience with TheBrain a few years ago where its synchronization capability lost me like 50% of my data. And so that just,
Really?
Oh,
Yes, synchronization, if not done right, is dangerous.
yes. So that shoved me off TheBrain, and I'm only just now reconsidering going back.
Mhm. Hi,
gotcha.
Jaswinder.
Hey, Jaswinder. So since the text on Eric's screen is not readable on my main laptop window, I'm looking at my big screen, which is why it appears to me I'm not looking.
Let me
directly
see
at
if I
you.
could make it bigger. Let's see. I can make it a little bigger like this.
Oh, that's good.
That's good? Okay.
For me, it is.
Yeah, it's
Are you
the
on a tablet or
magnifier.
phone? Stacy, are you on a tablet or phone?
Phone.
Okay.
Yep. So how do you like foundation pouring? Are we pouring the foundation or are we leveling it out?
I think I called it laying. I called it.
Yeah, laying. Okay. Okay, who else is here?
Glenn.
Glenn, thank you. Okay, so I'm just adding a
Hello.
node for each of us. Hi, Glenn.
Good to see you guys.
Yep. All right, we're gonna build a brain today.
All right.
Yeah.
I heard rumors of that.
Yeah, there's all kinds of rumors going around these days. Yeah.
So just for the record, I think last time I had tried doing this with a tool capturing notes as we speak,
Yeah.
some feedback that people would rather see people's faces than these artifacts. And so
Yeah.
that's why I've not been doing this a lot. I actually like this though. I like being able to see shared constructs as we speak. And if needed, I can still go to any one of your videos and just pin it and just
Yes, you
look
can.
for your reaction, So
Yeah, and actually,
I like this.
yeah, I'm using 2 monitors. So on one monitor, I have the brain, the other one I have your videos, and it's like 5 people I could see at the time. I could scroll up and see up or down. Okay, so let's see what time it is now. We'll wait for a few more, see if anyone else shows up. Yeah, let's wait till 11:05.
So just as a matter of a procedure, feel free to take all the way up until like a 90-minute time because
Yeah.
we haven't been using an hour for retrospective and retrospection. So I think 30 minutes probably would be okay.
Yeah, we could go around again, or if people want to follow up, we could do the mapping. We'll see how it goes. Yep. All right. I know Fallon said he's going to join when he's ready.
One of the reasons I like using a shared map when we do this is that way when one is speaking, N people can be adding and taking notes as
Right.
opposed to just one. So I like that aspect of it.
Yeah. Well, we have the chat. If we want to, people just want to store their points in the chat, and we could add it, copy it in later. That's another way. Yeah, it's a balance between visual aids and yeah, faces and yeah, information hiding and view drilling down. Because so far I haven't figured out how to show more than like the 2 or 3 levels in the web app. I know in
in the desktop app, you can actually have custom views.
Right.
But those
Yeah.
custom views, if you go away and come back, are hard to restore, as I recall.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay, so it's 11:05. As people come in, we'll invite them. But what I wanted to do first is, does anybody have an urgent need to check in before we start?
Well, I had quite a few things that I sort of wrote down because I listened to last week's fundraising, which I wasn't there.
Okay.
But maybe if it fits better, we could do that when we begin, for example. There's no rush with it, really.
Okay, well, I just want to show you, I have an egg timer. It only times for 3 minutes. It's a JavaScript thing I wrote. So if you want to just take a 3 minutes and share just now, if there's something urgent you want to get out. Or
Okay, I can take a little check-in. So as mentioned, I just listened to the last week's barn thing, which I couldn't attend. So we spoke about conversations, about good and bad conversations, and what could be points of connection between what people want from a conversation. And then I got the impression that the wish for a greater understanding and then the opportunity that conversation opens for a greater understanding, that seemed to be a connection point between all the people in the room. And you also spoke about being learners and teachers and whether that could be happening at the same time. So we could sort of all be teachers and students. And that I also found very interesting. And it was also brought to light a certain kind of irritability that has also been expressed a few times. It was in, especially Jasvinder and Colin, but I think also others like Sam, Joshua, myself have had sometimes being a little impatient, feeling that it's too many repetitions and that we would like to make a more meaningful progress and maybe move faster, maybe move into something more interesting. And that was certainly something that I resonated with. And based on all of this, I also wrote down quite a few ideas about some possibilities that I see in terms of what we've achieved so far and what could be achieved. So that was based on reflecting on a question Sam asked about whether we'd actually built a barn, to what extent. And so then I wrote down some reflections about that as well. So maybe those could be better to share a little later. So yeah, anyway, it was a very interesting conversation last week. So very fun listening to it.
Yeah, thank you. I think towards the end, when we start organizing things, we can capture some of your thoughts there, because we're going to try to focus on the topic today and give everybody equal time to share. And
excuse me.
yes,
Eric,
Stacey. Hi.
Sorry to interrupt. Hi. Fallon just asked if you could send him the link. I don't know how to do
okay.
it through my
I'll
phone
do
without
it.
losing.
Yeah,
Thank you.
I'll get them on Keybase.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, yeah. If anyone else wants to share in the meantime, go ahead.
A link to this Zoom session?
Yes.
I thought it was in a couple of places already.
Yeah, it's on Facebook.
It is. It
People
is.
forget.
He was probably he asked me to send a link to the GCC, and I can't use my phone without losing you guys. So
Okay, just give me a second.
I have to let in my cat. My cat is at the door.
Oh, cool. All right. Someone just joined.
It's just me. I came back on.
Oh,
reset.
okay, sure, no problem. Okay. Okay, I sent that to Fallon.
thank you.
All right. Okay, we got a cat. Nice. Okay, so I put together some ground rules for us to agree to up front, that it's going to be a round robin discussion in the order that we arrived. You have 3 minutes maximum. Here comes Fallon. Hi, Fallon. Okay. And Colin. Okay, so let me just add them while they get oriented. So Fallon or Colin, is there any urgent thing that you need to share before we get started?
No.
Good. Okay. All right.
There is for me. I gotta share happy birthday to Colin, belated from
great.
yesterday.
Thank you. Happy birthday, Colin.
Happy birthday.
Hey, Colin.
Merci.
Hey, let me share one real quick thing, just for the video and audio record, is that I'm experimenting with blogging on Jekyll these days. So the URL is ssyh.github.io, and I'm just learning it right now, but I'm just letting people know because I put a few things up there. That's what I'm going to be putting GCC and Engelbartian kind of ideas. Over.
Okay, thanks, Sam. Yeah, I took a look. It looks good so far. Okay, so I see Alex just joined. For anyone new who just joined, just asking if anybody has anything urgent that they want to share in a check-in before we start. Okay, just getting everybody's name in order here. Okay, so we're going to try to focus on a discussion together, and we're going to go in a round robin order based on who came in first. And then you get 3 minutes. I have a little egg timer so you could see how much time you have left. It shouldn't be that intrusive, so it'll let you know when we're done. We don't want any interruptions for now. We want everybody to share, and then afterwards, I'm going to capture what people say. And after each person shares, I just want to verify that I've captured everything the person wanted to say. And I think in when we review everything, we're going to identify any connections to be made in the map. So just to show you, like, I already made my map. So like I filled in what I'm feeling today, and then I answered the questions in different maps, well, just connections. So all I'm gonna do now is, like, Sam was first, and I'm gonna take notes. So we'll, when Sam's ready, I'm gonna give him the 3 minutes, and we're going to try this going around the room.
So I do have a question.
Yes,
Again,
there is a topic. Let me go back to that.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah, here it is. Okay, so the focus questions are: what has changed in your local community due to COVID-19? What opportunities now exist? What do you need? And what is the next step?
Okay, cool. So are you going to leave the focus questions up there? So it's,
You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to copy these into a notepad.
okay.
Right, copy. And let's see here. Text edit. Okay, so you see this takes some preparation.
Yeah, so as a meta comment, some of the
Yeah.
previous responses to using a tool were these little logistical things which affect flow.
Yeah, I understand.
Yeah.
But
I believe they're worth it. Okay.
do we get more focus is the question.
Yeah.
And let's see, how do I get this onto that window now? Yeah, it's like a tab. Oh, yeah, let me just see this. Does this work? Okay. You know what? I'll copy these into the person who's, and then we could add notes right here. There we go. Okay, so I'm gonna start the timer when you're ready, Sam.
Okay. So this is extemporaneous, right? So I haven't really seen these questions before.
Right.
Okay, so what has changed in my local community? Okay. You know, I go out to get supplies about once every 3 weeks. approximately. What
Mhm.
surprised me each time I go out is that the traffic level appears close to normal. So it looks like there's still quite a few people out and about. So either there's way more essential workers than I thought there were, which actually makes sense, or people aren't really taking the stay-at-home order seriously. I do know that most of my friends are staying at home, other than going out to get supplies. And when they do, and I do, I take my mask and etc. So we try to follow safety precautions. So that would be the biggest surprise, is that I think there's a change, but it's not as big as I thought. The opportunities that now exist, I actually waste less time traveling. I used to go to California and visit customers 2 or 3 weeks a month. And now I'm just heads down working on my screen with way less travel time, way less airport time, way less, shuttle time. So it feels like I'm actually working more, especially since, I'm trying to do a couple of webinars. I've done 3 webinars in the last 3 weeks and 2 company presentations. So it does feel like it's been pretty intense 3 or 4 week period. So the opportunity is really to dig deep in this new prototype area that I've been doing at work, which has actually been good. What are the other questions? I can't see the other questions.
Yeah, I'm bringing up, what do you need?
Okay, what do I need? I would like a better delivery service.
Yes, I
I'm
agree.
so remote that it's hard to get certain things. I don't get Amazon Fresh, for example. So that would be something that would be very helpful. Other than that, I've been in almost a self-quarantine since mid-2016. So I'm pretty used to having, like 2 or 3 months worth of emergency supplies around, and an electrical generator, et cetera, et cetera. So, so there's actually not a lot that's different. But some of those things like sushi, I need sushi. Next step.
Yeah.
Next step, I really think for all of us, especially me, is to really clarify those safety precautions so we can get out and about again safely without harming others or self. And once we get a good, clear understanding, and I think masks is part of that, gloves is part of that, spray, sanitizer, et cetera, is all part of that. Once we have that well understood, I think we can get back to like 50 or 70% of normal. I don't think we'll ever get back to normal. So my time's up, so I will just leave it at that.
Okay, thank you very much, Sam. Okay. Yeah, we'll come back at the end. The next person I had is Josh. Okay, let me get his up here. And I should be able to just paste what we had. Yeah, okay, so Josh, when you're ready, let me know.
Yeah, tell me exactly what you're expecting. Just
Okay,
so I
just
don't-
look at these questions. Number 1 is, what has changed in your local community due to COVID-19? Then what opportunities now exist? What do you need? And what is the next step?
Oh wow, nothing has changed except I can't leave. The only thing that's changed is I cannot
Mm,
where I live. I'm off the grid up on a mountain in California.
mhm. Wow.
The next question, the opportunities that exist are an extra 100 million people are now looking for my services.
Mhm. Okay.
And the services I provide are web development, internet marketing, sales, coaching, as well as web development for e-commerce. So that's building applications.
Right. Okay. So what do you
What
need?
do I need? I need help in building a multiversity, connecting all of the online communities, such as the GCC, Dig Life,
Okay.
Open Commons. It's actually, let me spell it right. It's openlearningcommons.cc,
Okay.
openmoney.cc,
Okay.
Portal to Passion, and that's portaltopassion.com.
Okay.
Health Network. And tell me the last question. I'll just stop there. There's plenty more,
Okay.
but I'll.
What is the next step?
The next step is to create a non-dominium club
Mhm.
called bestbridgeclub.com.
Good name. Yeah.
And this would allow us to share resources and help stand up the platforms of existing communities to help others in their local area.
Okay.
And thank you for doing this, Eric, and thank you, Sam, for organizing this. I'm very impressed and super stoked. So that'll be the end of my tour.
Yeah, thanks. It's just an experiment. We're going to evaluate and see how it compares to other things that we've done or other people's presentations. Okay.
Fantastic. I try to stay succinct, so I've got 20 seconds. So one of the things I'm very proud of is I got an A+ from the community of speakers at being super succinct and on time.
Nice.
So yeah, and I also I do like to use ums and buts just so I don't sound like a robot. I'm complete. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Josh. Okay, Stacy is next. Let me know when you're ready. And I got to paste the questions. Okay.
I'm not going to have very much to answer.
It doesn't matter,
What's
whatever you
changed,
want.
what's changed in my local community is just basically the socialization. You know, people aren't going out and meeting in groups and, you know, listening to music like we used to. Let's see, what are the other questions? What opportunities now exist?
Yep.
The opportunities that exist for me are more social because I can connect with people one-on-one through Zoom and have deeper conversations that I couldn't have in a club when the music is blaring. What else? What do I need?
Yeah.
What I would love is what Joshua was just talking about, which is that to be able to know what's out there in my community that I'd be able to plug into at any given time. What services that maybe I could provide just on a daily basis, you know, once at a time if there was a need, or if I needed something. I think Sam mentioned that he didn't have good delivery services. I don't have good delivery services either. And I know there are plenty of people that would be willing to make deliveries that don't have a job. So I'd love to see that happen. And what the next step is,
Sorry.
I have no clue.
Okay. I just want to clarify. So the services that you can provide, is it like both volunteer and for pay? Like some people are getting jobs at grocery stores, shopping.
Yeah, I'm thinking more for volunteer.
Okay. Okay. But do you see a need for like more paid opportunities for people in your community?
Well, I definitely see a need for more people to do deliveries. And I also see a need, and this is something that I would volunteer, for people to just check in verbally and just, you know, have a 15-minute chat with somebody that's feeling isolated. You know, not necessarily, you know, for deep psychological work, but just for, hey, how are you? What are you up to?
Yeah, thank you.
You reminded me, one thing that I am interested in, I haven't pursued it very hardly. I haven't. I like the idea of these online games, and I've been playing with a few of my friends, just experimenting, you know, just sort of conversational games that are just kind of fun and add to the socialization.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. And for anybody, like if I'm typing something and you want me to clarify it more, you just let me know as I'm going or at the end. Okay, next up we have Glenn. Okay, paste. Okay, whenever you're ready, Glenn.
Hey, yeah, thanks. Just gotta really thank Joshua. I just loved everything he said. And the rest of you too. So what opportunities? No, first,
Yeah,
how has COVID-19 affected my local community? Well, in the shops there are these windows between, and there are cleaning devices with antibacteria outside of all the shops, and written that you should keep 1 meter distance, and written information about the coronavirus and how they want us to behave. Significantly less people on the buses and collective transport, especially right after the whole thing eloped. There has been more people out now as the summer has begun coming out. I've seen quite a few walking in the woods. They do try to keep a distance, and some are wearing masks, most are not. At the same time, it's not a very densely populated area in these communities, so generally social distancing is very much practiced. And the teachers started online teaching with the students, and yeah, that has worked quite well for many people. They've been improvising, learning as they go along, and that's been something that's been mentioned in the media. And yes, of course, many people are at home. The government didn't want them to go to their huts and holiday houses. Obviously, many didn't like that because it's very much a culture in Norway to go to your little hut in the mountain or by the lake, and especially during Easter, but mostly they followed it. And it seems that the curve has begun to stabilize, and it's been about 7,000 infected so far, but I mean the death amount of death has been relatively low, but again, it's not a very densely populated area, so in that sense we're very fortunate. Yeah, so that's a few things that I would notice.
We could come back to you after everyone else has a chance if you want to go back and finish these questions. But you told us a lot. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, so let's see. I think Jaswinder is next. Okay, whenever you're ready, Jaswinder, let me know.
Ready now.
Okay, go ahead.
Traffic is increasing as the weeks go by. I haven't been out much. 4 little children in the house, so we keep the trips outdoors as minimal as possible. Shopping, 1 big shop, and then maybe a few other things now and again. I go out on a Monday, bring the children's schoolwork in, and then most of the days try and get them to do some work. They're getting very unruly and restless. Opportunities. Well, we haven't peaked with coronavirus yet. We're very near to it. Unions are agitated. This government is probably as bad as, if not worse, the Trump government. There'll be lots of opportunities. What do I need? Oh, I think I have pretty much everything I need. It's just a matter of deciding what to do, when and where. Most of it can be done online now, which is a great thing, except the odd face-to-face meeting. What is the next step? The next step, I think, is to get stronger and start more exercises and workouts and things, which I haven't done. And engage in the communities again as we all open up. There's no sign of any opening, at least another 2 weeks before we even think about stopping lockout. But I suspect, as somebody else has said, there are people who are sneaking out and about when they shouldn't. I'm complete. Thank you.
Hey, thank you very much, Jeswinder. Okay, next we
Okay.
have Fallon is next. Okay. Whenever you're ready, Fallon, let me know.
Sure. What has changed in my local community? I live in Brooklyn, so there still is a lot of death. What's strange is even going outside for a walk, all of the stores are closed, other than like a few little grocery stores here and there. There are a lot of people basically ignoring the stay-at-home order. They're getting restless. I get a really good sense of that people are just really wanting this to be over. What opportunities do I think exist right now? I think that people are a little disenchanted with the government's response. People are a little bit confused. I think what might be needed is something that would allow folks to trust that those who are giving us directions have our best interests at mind, at heart. I guess we need connection to smart people, you know, that have a finger on the pulse of things and power to execute. The last question, what's the next step? The next step is it feels like a wait and see pattern. We can sit there and plan and think of all of these hypotheticals, and I've been doing it, Lord knows, but we don't know. We don't know what's next. For me, what next is just to keep on doing what I'm doing.
Okay, thank you. Keep doing best we can. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Fallon. Next I have Colin. Okay. Whenever you're ready, Colin, let me know.
Okay, yeah, just let me know when the 3 minutes is up.
Yeah, sure.
Doing some chores and yeah, how has life changed in my community or for me? Is that question number
Yeah,
two?
either one.
Yeah, well, for me, I guess it's just having family connection, physical family connection, let's say, is a change. I have a couple of grown children, and it's not very nice not to be able to visit them. So that's, I think, a common thing that some people may be going through as well. Interesting thing is, in where I live, it's not heavily populated either. Small province and in Atlantic Canada. So we haven't really been hit that hard. People have been basically obeying the stay-at-home orders. Restaurants are closed. I think some food services are available, but I typically don't eat out a lot anyway, so I haven't noticed a change there. As far as personally working, it's been a little bit difficult working remotely, but type of software development, it's geared for that kind of thing. And I find, like Sam, it feels like I'm working more because the machine's always there, and people at work have warned to not let that happen. You know, don't overwork yourself. But things have been very productive. So in a strange way, it's created some focus in some industries. So, but yeah, locally, I would say just the slowdown of everything, like everybody's mentioned. So, I guess I think of a larger context of, you know, what things have actually cognitively changed. Like working from home is an option for people, which is something that has been a hard thing to do in the past. In fact, I know somebody who couldn't work from home, so still because of technology, but I think that'll quite escalate. I don't know. I wonder if travel will be less. Airlines will be getting less travel. If we're going to have certain people that are going to continue wearing masks, and so at that, you know, mental level, is this a game changer? Is it going to stick? You know, you look over the videos in China, and you usually always see people wearing face masks these days. So maybe it's going to be a new way of life, a new fashion. Tip to somebody out there.
Okay, thank you. We'll come back to you if you have any more. Okay. Okay, and I think Alex is the last one that I know about here. Hi, Alex, are you ready?
Yes.
Okay. So, yeah, let me know. So what has changed in your community due to COVID-19?
We've got a lot less people outside, and a lot of businesses are closed, so there's very little activity going on, and long queues outside the unemployment office. So people are losing their jobs due to the shutdown. Like some of the cafes are still serving takeaway food, but most of the restaurants are closed for sitting, eating in. And that's resulted in a huge increase in unemployment. Tourism is down. And but there's not been many problems in the virus arena because we closed down early in this region.
Okay.
So it's been very quiet on that line, on that front. There's been a few people catch the virus in this area, but just less than 100.
Okay.
And opportunities?
Yes.
Well, there's been a lot more activity online. This has created opportunities for people who blog a lot on health issues. There's been some exciting news about the microbiome in the gut biome levels, because a healthy gut biome increases your immunity to viruses, apparently. So this is interesting.
Yes, it is.
This is a subject that Joshua is upfront with, familiar with. So that's good. That means there's something, and we have something in common with other members here, that we love sharing information. So the opportunity to increase our networking is not to be dismissed.
Right. Okay. And what do you need?
I need $200,000.
And what would you do with that?
I'd just use it to promote local networking and permaculture.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd probably invest some in some land, at least some land. It's degraded land and planted with hemp and bamboo. start an industry with a loan from the government and the bank. I'd start a fabric industry and produce hemp clothing, hemp fabrics for bags, shopping bags and recycled bags and all sorts of things, clothing and
Yes.
floor coverings, and even building materials can be made from hemp.
Okay, thank you. Your time is up. We'll come back to you.
Okay.
Okay, is there anyone who hasn't gone yet? I think I got everybody. Okay.
You haven't gone yet.
Ah, yes, you're right. Let me go through what I put together. Okay, so for today, yeah, I'm feeling restless. I'm tired of isolation. I want to visit my parents, but I'm handling it, dealing with what's going on. Okay, so what has changed? So in terms of compliance, people are complying with the social distancing recommendations, but I see a lot of cloth masks, and that's not the right solution. And there are parks that would normally have hundreds of kids, they're empty. Okay, but there's denial. Pennsylvanians value their independence, so there are cars on the streets, stores are open, and some families are out with their kids. Okay. So then opportunities to build bridges between local organizations, to pull resources and share. There's an opportunity for local self-governance, getting more local civic involvement in the political process. If there are safe spaces for people to meet in person, and maybe like a neighborhood watch, having more personal responsibility instead of everyone in their own bunker. Okay, now I know I have, okay, here they are. So 3, what is needed? I think we need some neighborhood town halls without authority figures present. I think the media, you have these calls and it's like an authority dictating, okay, this is the way it is. I think you need more bottom-up input. There has to be easier ways for people to get help, matching of local volunteers with people in need. Mental health is going to be a very big issue. There should be more support groups, and non-technical social reintegration that balances safety with personal needs. Okay. Yeah, instead of Zoom, and there's going to have to be some face-to-face services eventually to help people reintegrate. And I've been told that there's going to be mass PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder, and they're going to need resources for that. And then next steps. So personally, I want to get more involved in my county's political process to find out about their conventions for the elections. And I have been exposing myself to more diversity over, let's say, the past 2 years. I'm meeting some fascinating people and work individually with people in my network. Okay. All right, so let's just go back to people who didn't get a chance to finish. Was it Glenn? Yeah, let's just finish up the questions. So like opportunities and what you need. So Glenn, do you want to go?
Okay, yeah. Yeah, for some reason I got it in my mind that we have 3 minutes for the first one. I don't know why, but when it comes to the opportunities, the opportunity that I see is that we have a timeout, kind of an open space where we're more at home, we are more with our computers. We have an opportunity to use this time and this space to really create something that can really benefit everyone. Create something really, really beautiful through our common understanding. to really build on the best understandings of every person in the room, to really appreciate every person in the room, to take in their actual insights, to really listen, to keep these conversations going, to try interesting games, all of these things, exactly what's happening here with these conversations. I think we're right at the tiger eye. We're in the most central part of what will determine what's going to happen in the world. And if we do it well, then we have enormous opportunities. And this very difficult situation has created that space. And it's created that opportunity for us to really reimagine what we are and what we could be. So out of that, we could obviously then really combine our efforts to create a totally new understanding and a new vision, which would be big enough to include everyone. So that if the vision is sufficiently brilliant, sufficiently extraordinary, if it's just so astonishingly awesome that it goes way beyond any vision ever in human history, then perhaps it would be easy for everyone to get behind it. It could include everyone, and that's what I need. That's what I wish for the next step, to really build this understanding and build this super community and build this learning community. And I think that what we're doing here so far is super relevant, but there's so much more that we could do. And really everything everyone has shared here, I think is a part of what needs to happen.
Thank you.
So, yeah.
What do you need for your work, for your community? Like what is needed to get started?
Do you mean what I need personally?
Well, either that or what you see your community needs, or to make this vision happen, what would be needed?
I think there is a need for these new meeting places, like you mentioned, town halls without any authority figures. That could be a need for new kinds of events where we meet together, conversation games, like Stacey was talking about, to reinvent conversation and to have fun with it and have an atmosphere where everyone can feel included and everyone is appreciated and we're listening with real interest. I think that's a great need for everyone around me. It's a great need for me as well, and it's a great opportunity.
Thank you.
And I think it's the next natural step as well to, really do these, very beautiful, good conversation games and really try to do our best and keep these conversations going.
Okay, great. Thank you. Okay. I think Colin had more with, let me see. Okay, opportunities that exist and what you need. Okay, is Colin still here or did he leave? Did he drop off? Oh, he's back. Here he is. Hi, Colin, when you're ready. Muted.
Sorry, I'm in the middle of technical difficulties. Can somebody go before me?
Okay, sure. Did Alex have more, or do we get? Yeah, Alex, your next step.
I got to think about that, but Sam had his hand raised.
Sam? Okay, did you have something?
I would like to add to my thoughts when it's appropriate, and I don't need to go before Alex. I just wanted to register that there's a lot to add since there was only a 3-minute to begin with.
Right, okay, so yeah, we have the time to augment people's thoughts. So Alex, do you want to finish?
Well, actually, where were we up to?
What is the next step?
Well, that's a big one.
Yeah.
Yeah, 3 minutes is not enough time to.
Well, yeah, just give us an overview of what you see as the next step in your community.
There are several steps that are required to see the vision fulfilled.
Okay.
But the problem is expressing them in such a short amount of time. So virtually it's banging my head against the wall. You know, I've got to spend three days figuring that out, not 3 minutes.
Okay, so it's take time to define
Planning, planning and strategy, strategic thinking.
Yes. Yep.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, we could talk about that another time, but thank you. Okay. All right, Colin, let us know when you're ready. Otherwise, Sam, you wanted to augment something.
Yeah, I could go now if you can hear me.
Oh, yeah. Okay. We'll come back to Sam. Okay, Colin, we were up to what opportunities now exist, and then what do you need?
Right. What opportunities now exist, and then what do I need?
Yeah, what do you need in your community, and what is the next step is the last question. So start with opportunities that you see.
Opportunities. Well, I see opportunity in change, and I see changes afoot. Now, again, I don't know if what change will stick, and what things will go back to quote unquote normal. So one thing I guess would be nice to mention would be within the context of GCC would be how governance and looking as a cognitive whole, as far as, you speak to some people in the group and they think a revolution is necessary. I think something more mild than a revolution, but something definitely that some of the new and some of the old, the digital currencies, there's a lot of things that are ripe to actually break through into the market now. They've had a lot of, I hear China's at it again. Facebook tried it a couple of times. So, it's gonna break. So it could be a drastically different world if United States dollar isn't the ruler we measure success by, which is really changes some cognitive outlook, I would think. I don't know. But so I'm just confused at how much is going to change. And, looking through history, things definitely do change. Last 100 years, where we're going to be in the next 50. So I'm taking that kind of a longer view of things. So what opportunities do I see? Yeah, it's like, I think it's what opportunities can we take to do another way that can work more positively. If there's things we can do. And a small example was, if you can work from home healthily and successfully, then it's probably a better option. Taking into account that, the job role may change a bit if you have certain efficiencies, maybe you can get paid more. You don't have to pay for that plane anymore. You're working more when you're not driving on a plane. You're in front of the terminal, you're working more. So yeah, so I just think maybe redefining some roles and the way we look at work and potentially national boundaries. So yeah, it's opportunities are hard. We're very, very early days of this to see what's going to happen, but I think it all depends on a cognitive shift to get the big changes and innovations. Like Josh has been talking about a lot of new energy stuff in conjunction to the video Planet of the Humans that came out recently. As Josh says, it's a good video, but 10 years too late. Anyway.
Okay, thank you. The next thing is, what do you need in your community?
What do I need?
Yeah, if you had what you needed to make this happen in your community, what would you need now?
Make this happen. Well, I don't really have a this.
Yeah, whatever you're defining, whatever improvement you want to start with.
Okay. Well, Well, I guess in the context of COVID and in the context of GCC, what things are different from COVID related to GCC? So global challenges. Well, I'm thinking connecting the local to the global is a very important thing to ground things into, you know, concrete understanding. So you can take action. So I see things as a two-step process: understand what's going on, and then act. And a lot of things are changing. So, you know, as wicked problems go, they don't come in singles, and you don't really know how to navigate. So, yeah. I guess I have that kind of a view in the GCC of so that's why, as well, I like to go into mapping tools to try to map out the domain to see, you know, what would be germane, what would be worth investigating and trying to pull together. Josh had a great idea. We've been talking about it quite a bit at different times, GCC of mapping out different collaborations and see what they look like. PKE kind of tried that too, tried to branch out some collaborations. So yeah, maybe what things we need is to have a cognitive shift so that these things can have more viability or buy-in. Maybe more examples of successful new ways of doing things. So I do think we need to successfully navigate a shift without having a revolution, basically.
Great.
At
Yeah,
the
I
big
agree.
picture, which is that's way bigger than coronavirus. But, you know, I think coronavirus is kind of like a, you know, an opening crescendo to what's coming next, maybe in the movie.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Okay. And what do you see as the next step?
The next step.
Yeah.
Well, I think I mentioned that already with, you know, getting ready and preparing, investigating, and trying to define the undefinable, you know, and bringing it local, the global local, and local global.
Yeah,
so that
local.
It's not just one or the other. Yeah, and I don't really know, you know, that makes more sense in certain contexts than others, but, you know, definitely supporting local and thinking global. And I don't know if that means redefining national borders into areas of resources for the next 100 years, or what it means. But definitely it seems like old school, this is my land and you can't come here. And, you know, I may be delusional, but I think that, you know, for our overpopulation problem in management, we got to kind of do resources better. And I think the new economies and these, you know, it would be nice if we had a system that we could trust to take care of our information without spying on us. You know, I think that's kind of what we need to jump into the next. Better control of our own information, I guess, is what's coming to mind, so that we can continue to have free speech and map out the different domains so that people can understand. Because without understanding, you're just, you know, you're just shooting wild.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay,
Yep.
And I think Sam wanted to augment his thoughts. Or his puppy can talk too.
He likes to moan and sing, actually. So
Yeah,
get him
well, we
started.
could learn from puppies. Yeah, go ahead.
So if I was to pop out a little bit, a couple of orders, you know, because I was thinking very, very provincially in the first round. I think it comes down to the fact that we have inverted society so much that the people who have influence and authority are exercising hatred and bias / racism and corruption and nepotism and a disdain for truth, all of which work against the common good. I'm speaking here, of course, of the US, but I think it's evident that it's happening elsewhere as well. So I think the premise of capitalism and democracy assumed that people would still value being decent people. That assumption has been proven false. And there's not enough protections for the people against those corruptions. So I think what we need is really radical transparency. Because only by having these people accountable via the public record with some value for truth can we correct this. If we allow secrecy, if we allow the small number of parties to still exercise their influence, the billionaires, the insiders, the committee members, the system will just propagate. And those who hang on to power will still continue to hang on to power at any cost. Truth is a cost. Health is a cost. People's rights are costs. And those people in power don't care. They have no consideration. Witness that, Jared Kushner will say, oh, we had 60,000 people die. That's a success. So it's so far removed from the good of the common people that almost any reasonable society would have thrown out such an administration long ago. And we are idiots and inept that we cannot do so. So what we need is that radical transparency and accountability. And in order to get it, we need the tools to be able to share the truth, to be able to test claims, to be able to test the evidence and supporting and contradicting points against it. And we need people who value that. We need people who value more than popularity, more than sound bites. We need people who value the truth. And right now, that is not evidently a majority. That is almost sadly a small minority. And it's no mistake, and it's no accident that our education system has created this. Our schools are full of people who make fun of the smart people, and they worship and they adore and they vote into office the popular people. So that set of values has certainly produced what we have today. We need common sense making tools that can actually test these claims. We need to be able to have people connect in such a way that we can actually work together to do this. We need knowledge repositories where we can actually construct these models. We need systems like I'm calling the global sim to be able to test the knowledge and its predictions. And we need to invert the decision-making process in society so that everybody co-creates a solution, not just spends 10 seconds voting. So we need that inverse of what's going on.
Okay, thank you, Sam. I
I'm
think
very
Jazz
sorry
went
to interrupt.
Go ahead.
I'm taking my niece to the hospital.
Oh, I'm sorry.
She's bleeding, not heavily, but sufficient to be concerned. And looks like she may be aborting. So,
Okay,
talk to you
wish her
later.
well.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Bye.
Jazz. Take it easy. Okay. Okay, thanks everybody. We've collected a lot of information and I'm going to share a link to this brain so we could all look at it. I think we should take like a 5-minute break and then come back and start talking, evaluating it. But let me paste this in to the chat. Okay. Okay, so people should be able to click on that link in the chat and navigate through the brain. And we're going to take a 5-minute break. So come back around 12:10. Okay, thank you.
Wait a minute. Wait. Where do you can, I can't find the,
Okay, do you have a chat in Zoom? In the Zoom chat, I pasted a link.
okay, I'll find, okay.
Yeah, it's bra.in and then a number.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, yeah, so you should be able to see everything that we put into the brain. Okay, let me know if you can see it or if you have any issues.
I'll find it.
Yeah, and then you just
having trouble on the phone.
Yeah, you just click around and you navigate to each person, and we'll come back and we'll talk about the objectives of this. And
okay, I got it.
Okay, great, thank you. Okay, 5 minutes.
All I can say is we went from being disorganized, Sam, to extremely organized, and I'm really digging it. So even a 1 hour, 5 minute break. How you doing, Fallon?
I'm okay. I'm
Oh,
really
sorry, Sam.
tired. I'm really tired. I've been working on this deck and some prototyping for what Sam is asking for. Designed something that is pretty interesting, and yeah, just been trying to work on that.
What can I ask? What design software you're using?
Huh?
What design software are you using these days to organize your design stuff?
I'm using XD. Yeah, mostly XD, Photoshop. I'm playing a lot with Blender these days.
Oh, cool! I just started that.
Yeah, for 3D stuff. Yeah, but mostly XD. I like Miro sometimes for like the maps, but I'm actually really digging TheBrain. I just started my brain, and it's been somewhat helpful. Yeah, it's been somewhat helpful. Actually, looking through the UX on TheBrain, and having some really interesting ideas of how to improve it. Yeah. So I've been thinking around that stuff and how I might be able to integrate it into what it is that I'm designing currently.
Cool.
Yeah. But I'm tired though. I haven't slept yet. I made it a point to try to go to bed at 12:30 last night. I'm like, okay, get off the computer, go to bed. And then I'm in the bed with my computer. And like before you know it, it's like 5 o'clock in the morning. I'm like, okay, well, you have to stay up.
I had the same thing last night. I don't know if that helps to commiserate, but went to bed at like 12:31 and woke up with a nightmare at about 30, and I just stayed awake.
Yeah.
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 The collective consciousness, the energy, if you're spiritually tapped in, is just really intense.
It is.
Especially in the dream.
It is.
Yeah.
It really is. I really feel like we're at that tipping point, I think. I think we're at that tipping point. People who aren't accustomed to having these types of conversations, they're actually starting to play with the hems of it a little bit. And I've been working on the Brooklyn DAO actually.
Nice.
Yeah, I kind of co-opted it from Ori from DAOstack, and I've been writing up a couple of sketches for what I believe it could look like. I created like this this rep distribution model, rethought about that. How would we onboard people rapidly into a type of organization that would be somewhat of a safety layer for bureaucratic governments? And yeah, just been thinking about how is it that we might use these use these new technological tools and some conventional tools and find some type of interoperable way of bringing folks on board to self-sufficiency, some type of community. Yeah. Subsistence
Big
that's
ups to Brooklyn. I
it's
just reconnected with about 100 underground hip hop heads over in the New York area. So if you need any connections like Baba Israel or Yako 440 or any of the teachers and entertainers and theater people,
I do.
Just reach out.
I do, because I started a thread on Keybase, and I invited a bunch of designers and like some really smart folks to contribute. And yeah, the designer guys that I know, they're super busy, and and they've been contributing in terms of ideas, but like I had to take a step back and say, hey, you know what? I have to really come up with something that would paint the picture of what it looks like for everyone, and work on vision. So this whole week has really just been working on vision. How is it that I might be able to paint the picture that will inspire? And yeah, that's where I'm at. I miss you,
Hang in
man.
there, brother.
I've been hearing like all of this microbiome stuff. This gut.
I told my partner, I sold.
You've been on it for years.
Yeah, I sold the shares of the company to my partner, and I told her, don't worry. This was in November of last year. I said, in April, the microbiome will be the biggest thing in the world. You watch. It's all going to come back around, because I can see the trends being in the science world. And sure enough, in April,
yeah, it's crazy.
Gut health is so key, man. That's it. That's what it's all about.
It is.
We can actually cure. There was $800,000. Not what is it? $800 million that was given by the United States government back in 2015 for microbiome research from the Obama administration, or actually it was 2016. It was right before he left office. So there was, on top of that, another $2.3 billion that was given for microbiome research. So all that research was done in the last 3 years.
Wow, talk about timing.
Well, the superbug was inevitable. And with the Zika, everything that was going on, I don't know if you remember the Olympics that happened down in Brazil.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I do remember.
The disgustingness that was their rivers was literally breeding grounds for a superbug, and that was the Zika that came up.
Yeah, I do remember.
So we've been discussing this. Is just like, in terms of what we were discussing, this is a blip. When the superbug comes, no antibiotic can kill it. If it's a superbug, you can take antibiotics and nothing, and it'll make COVID look like nothing. So I'm not trying to scare people. I'm just saying, in reality, there will be a super bacteria, not necessarily a virus, but it's a bacteria infection that will be way worse than this virus, because we'll have no vaccination, and with that said, the way that you keep that from happening is you build super bacteria gut flora to be able to fight it off. So you don't need antibiotics. Your body will naturally fight it off.
Yeah.
So we can do it.
Well, that's good.
We got
news.
this.
That's good news.
Yep. There's a lot of really great news.
I was eating some hickory sticks for breakfast just when you said it's all in the gut, and I got it. You made me feel just a tad bit guilty there, I think, Josh.
No, there's I think I'll just share this. A lot of people don't talk about this, but it's called prebiotics. Everyone talks about probiotics. But before you take your probiotics, it's like laying the soil inside of your gut flora to be ready for the probiotics. You have to eat prebiotics. And if you just go to Google and type in prebiotics,
I think a get ready stage is good for everything.
Josh, if you didn't go yet in this experiment, maybe you could do a presentation on that. That would be really interesting.
I'm out of it, Stacy. I actually sold the company because I'm on.
But I mean, when it's your turn to practice moderation style, that would be a great topic to present that I think we'd all be really interested in.
Okay, I'm happy to share anything that helps people be healthy. I'm always happy. Thank you, Eric, for coming back.
Yeah, thanks, everybody. So Sam, do you want to do the evaluation first? We could always go back to the map afterwards.
Do you have another 15 minutes of process, or do you have the entire process done as far as you're concerned?
I think we can do more processing of this information later. I'd like us just to get the evaluation process done in case people need to leave early. And then
Okay.
if we want to continue, I have the time.
Okay. So may I take one opportunity to give another 2 or 3 minute reaction to this before we go into the eval, or is that unfair?
You could go ahead.
Okay. So in my previous attempts to use the brain, if these little statements, and by these I mean a single beam, you know, whether it's a transparency or whether it's a biome, et cetera, if it gets its own node, then it's connectable. You can then connect it to people, you can connect it to parents, peers, nodes, associated nodes, etc. And with the notes as currently embodied in, you know, single text objects, these individual memes are not able to be individually connected. So
yeah, there would be a step to
exactly
take this and build it out, and then
right.
maybe
And that
as a
process,
group,
by the way, is not cheap, right? It takes thought, it takes preparation, it takes facility with a tool. Most people who are encountering the brain for the first time have no idea what I'm talking about.
Right.
So for example, you're looking at a single node right now. There are parent nodes, there are peer nodes, there are child nodes. Right now, we're seeing no peer nodes, for example. There's only parent and child nodes. There's no peer nodes for this barn raising foundation thing.
Right.
Actually, if
yeah, you
Eric
could
clicks
do
on
this.
one of the other ones, exactly, right? Then you could actually see peer nodes off to the left and right. So that, yeah, see,
these are
now the
peers.
peer nodes are seen on the right.
Mm-hmm.
And the manually created associations will be on the left.
Mm-hmm.
So there is a lot of work, but once you do that work, then more structure can be seen. The problem with the brain is it only allows you to see one node and its connections. It doesn't actually let you really zoom out and see everything all at one time. That's very difficult to do in the brain version that I'm familiar with.
Well, I think the desktop app has more features like that, but yeah, we just wanted to try something to capture. So in terms of a capture
it's not a criticism. You know, I love
yeah,
the
of course.
You know, the brain comes closest to modeling what I have in my own cranium, you know, better than workflowy. It's better than anything else out there. It's just, it's still limited because, you know, there's all these things that could still be added to it. So I do like the experiment. And so that's all leading to the fact that I think if we're able to take even part of that next step, which is to create some additional nodes, start making those connections, you know, like start making those connections with what I said about transparency, with what somebody else might have said about society, or stuff about, you know,
just an analysis. We start doing that.
Exactly. So we could actually take, you know, the COVID stuff and connect it to what Josh was saying about the biome stuff, for example.
Right.
Those connections then begin to get kind of rich. And by the way, you know, I do have a brain that's tens of thousands of nodes. And even in the desktop app, it's very difficult to see the overall larger structure of things. So anyway, those are some comments about the brain. And what I was hoping, and this is not a criticism, Eric, I know we're time limited, but I think that, you know, should we take the next step to actually create these more granular nodes and start connecting them, then you'd really begin to see the power of the brain.
Yeah, well, if you feel that we've talked about things that are part of GCC's mission here, and you want to go through that analysis step, it's more sense making. And if people want to volunteer to help you with that, yeah. Now, so it's on my account now, and I could make edits to it if people tell me what to edit. But yeah, it's up to you how you want to take this forward.
Right.
But I guess the experiment today was, did we give everybody a chance to speak? And did we capture everybody's thoughts in something that is usable for future analysis?
Right. Okay, so that was my comment. I got loads more analysis, but, you know, let's move into the retrospective now. So I'm going to launch my very common, you'll probably remember it, poll question. So I'm going to leave it up for about 15 seconds, just to indicate yes or no. The question is, did we focus on a topic? And I'll leave it, the timer going to 15 seconds. Okay, so at this point, only 5 people have voted. So here we are. I'm going to end the polling. I didn't vote, not because I didn't want to, but because I couldn't. If I'm actually setting up the poll, I cannot vote. I would have voted yes. So it would have been 6 out of 6 with 1 person abstaining. So hopefully that's good feedback for you, Eric. So at this point, I'd like to hear from anybody who possibly abstained or was kind of, on the fence about it, or anybody who felt really strongly about, yes, we actually did it today. And any comments about the moderation methods, techniques, tools, process, etc.
Eric did a great job.
Thanks. I'd like to comment that I was focusing on my typing, and like I just noticed Jaswinder waving his hands at the end. I wasn't paying attention to the video. So like in the future, if people see things like that, if they could call it out, that would have helped me if he had done that, if I had missed it. Yeah.
I did
Yes,
also
Sam.
notice that myself. I held my hand up about 2 or 3 times, and I know you were looking at the screen. You didn't actually see me, so it was just part of the moderation facilities might be to try and make this hand raising more perceptible. And Josh had his hand up as well.
Yeah, I just wanted to say the collaboration between you, Sam, and Eric, that being on the same wavelength, putting up the brain, just the collaboration, I think that has what has made, for me at least personally, a nice, clear focus, communication, and just how well the two of you collaborate. I think it's a wonderful collaboration. And then allowing us to all collaborate with that. So having not just Sam, because I always see you, Sam, typing in the notes, it's a very difficult thing. So I'm just saying the more we collaborate with people that we connect with, the better we can provide for the community. So thank you. I just wanted to notice how, thank you, Eric, for being on the same page as Sam, and for what you guys are doing for programming a little 3-minute JavaScript, and for being such a
anyone could
amazing
use this. It only works for 3 minutes, but it's eggtimer.hashbase.io, and you refresh it when you want another 3 minutes.
Perfect.
Yep.
That reminds me of a
I just
dirty
wanted
joke.
to say, let's collaborate more. That's all I wanted to put out
Yeah,
there.
sure. Thank you.
Yeah. By the way, I can't help but also express that there's a little bit of desire to get in and collaborate directly on the tool, so that we can actually, multiple people get in there and add nodes, make connections, add text, whatever. This is the same feeling I have when Colin shares his Coggle maps, that right now, unfortunately, it's a single user thing. That's one of the reasons, by the way, that even though I don't think it's as powerful, I share in Workflowy, because Workflowy does allow anyone to go in there and edit at the same time. So that might be something I will try when I get around to it. I mean, I have tried it before. Some of you remember that. And we get stuff put in there. It's just not natural for people yet.
Do you think there is value in people taking time to digest it and offer feedback later rather than typing it in at the moment? Like maybe the chat is fine for things you don't want to forget. And then I mean, I've been questioning that throughout my career. Like,
yes.
Yeah, that's one half of the question right there.
Right. I mean, clearly, the more you structure in real time, the more thought it takes and the more focus and attention, which then kind of detracts from what else is being said in the session. So that's why if you really want to go towards one extreme where we're all just really taking in what's going on, then having an actual record, like the MP4 or MP3 of it, is something that you can use later on to sort of do that extraction. On the other hand, it's vital that we actually show a connection in the meeting before the end of the session, so that everybody sees the same, conclusions or connections or whatever. Then that is an important thing to recognize and do. And between those two extremes is every other, space along the spectrum. And so that's where the moderation or the skills facility or the familiarity would allow people to sort of see it. I mean, there are times that I put up a tool And it was just such a jarring experience for someone else that they just got completely turned off by it. So I think having multiple exposures to a tool, getting a familiarity with what it shows and what it, structuring for you, then gets past that jarring effect. And then people can then see it as an enabling and possibly an empowering thing. And I think that's where I would like to get us, or I would like to see us get to that.
Yeah, this is just one tool that I picked. If people want to try it with other tools, they're welcome to.
And for the record, I am familiar with MindMeister, MindMeister.com, which is a mind mapping tool. It's not a brain like this, but it's a mind mapping tool. But it is possible for multiple people to do that mind map creation at the same time. And it's also free. So that's
okay. That's good to know.
Yeah, Coggle allows that too. I think Eric had a very comfortable approach for me, very business-like, but still, casual enough for our kind of meeting. But it was very business-like, sort of not so much a lecture though. Mine was more of a lecture to get ready for a tool, and then the second stage I would have probably done something more like this. But I find the uniqueness of this barn raising experiment is that we're focusing and leaning into the person to allow them to do whatever they want, and which is typically not the freedom you have in a GCC conversation. It's more, and I think Sam's comment about jarring underscores that. People like to have a free-flowing conversation. Sam mentioned that at the very beginning. So the criticisms that Sam has had, I share, but don't need to repeat. So the big question for me is how you navigate it, and Sam's touching on that too, because really collecting this information like this, I think with Eric's moderation skills, we could have done this on Trello and been much more effective if there was actually action items. But this is more the investigation part. Let's investigate and try to, contextualize. So, this is all very good stuff. So I think if you have buy-in from the people, if it's the right environment, people are expecting to contribute in this kind of a fashion, and reorganize it, validate it, and follow through, then we can learn by as we go how to navigate the stuff. But again, I see no difference in the effect of what we did today than what we could do on Trello with good moderation. And if somebody's using a tool, they definitely need someone else to help, to be part of their team. I reached out to Josh before I did my Saturday about the different types of maps, because I was hoping that me and Josh could, because he's a good MC, he's a very very good social type of space holder, and very conscious of the people in the room. So I think if you team up with someone like Josh, and you got the guy who's running the tool, and you have the right different tasks, different problems, different groups, different initiatives could use different tools. And just to finish off, I'd like to mention, I think we had the creme de la creme offered to us by Josh as well with the Basecamp, because it was a customized thing that went one step beyond Trello. And it's just if the people don't actually want to follow through and use that tool, if they're not getting paid to show up on Monday and do that work, then it seems in the GCC we just like to not follow through because of the number of concerns that people keep. So I'm kind of amazed that we don't already have a accumulation of takeaways, some of which I think I've mentioned before. And so are the things I'm mentioning not worthy, or am I at the wrong forum? Or how do we actually collect this and move forward practically as well as informationally? Because I think the practical element of holding, and I think that's what's all kind of coming out with this experiment, Sam, recognizing that the last 2+ years hasn't really worked the way he had hoped it would work. So we're trying this moderation experiment, but it's half the tool and half the people involved in what kind of initiative. So, you know, it has to be both. And without the follow through, it just kind of, it's almost like a new episode every week. So, you know, something like TheBrain demands follow through. Something like Workflowy kind of demands follow through. Something like Coggle demands follow through and validation. But if it's not actually the tool we're using, and we're just all personally kind of using these tools, then we're all disjoint and not well aligned. So I think that's where I was hitting with my journey map on more of a meta level to point that out, that we're not aligning because we're not aligning. And here's a way you could align, whatever tool you're using. So anyway,
Sam?
So
my retrospect.
thanks, Colin. I actually have a lot of thoughts on that as well. But Alex had his hand up, and then
Yeah.
I'll go unless other people do.
I wanted to mention that late at night is not the best time for me to focus.
Mhm.
I get invited to other groups like later in the day for them, but it's later at night for me. So I'm too tired by the time I get there and not able to really contribute as much as I would do if I was early in the morning.
Right.
It's like Enlivening Edge and the Earth Hour team, and there's several other Trello teams, and Lumino's one I like a lot because of the emails. They send you emails back to see if you've completed a task, and it makes you respond. That's why I like it. Over.
Stacy,
Nothing.
did you have something? Okay.
No.
So my thought on what Colin was saying is that this is an aspect of culture, right? You can't just, or I have not seen it ever be successful where you introduce a tool and immediately everybody adopts it. There's always an adoption period. There's an onboarding period. And it takes some example effectiveness by those who are early adopters for the others to say, oh yeah, I'll try it, it's worth it. And we've gone through that with probably a dozen or more different tools, you know, Basecamp being one of them, Kumu, you know, Workflowy, Trello, TheBrain, MindMaster, etc. So to me, it's a matter of whether we are actually motivated to try and do this. I don't think it's a matter of the tool anymore. I think it's a matter of people's willingness to do that collaboration and just try it. And this gets me back to an Engelbartian theme, which is he was never one, as Steve Jobs was, to push this thing called ease of use. Ease of use, yes, is easy for people to adopt, but then you get people into like, you know, kindergarten level, and usually you don't evolve beyond that. And it is not the case that everybody wants a lot of capability. Everybody pretty wants that kindergarten level of capability, and they're comfortable with that. I know people who've learned like 3% of Microsoft Word, and they don't ever want to learn about style sheets or anything else. Even style sheets is like first grade level stuff in Microsoft Word. But they're okay manually changing all the formatting in every little paragraph, and it's so time consuming, yet they don't want to learn what style sheets are. So Doug's notion about this is, if you only want to go around the block, a tricycle is fine. I've mentioned this before. But if you want to go across town, would you rather use a tricycle or a bicycle? And arguably, a bicycle takes longer to learn. A tricycle takes almost zero time to learn, but it limits how far you can go, the things you can see. And that is really, really, really what is at the top of mind for me. When we're trying to push the envelope in brand new areas and do things that we've never actually done before, can we afford to just keep looking for tricycles, or do we really need to learn how to do things differently? Really learn some new skills. That's a thing I would like for us to consider, because if we're really trying to do something different, we should be learning new skills so that we can actually create these new things. And that's going to take some investment, and that's going to take some motivation, and that's going to take some really understanding why.
Yeah,
without the why, you're not going to have the motivation.
Are you talking about like technology skills or?
No, I'm talking combination. A skill being recognizing when somebody is contributing something that you want to connect to. Recognizing that when somebody's actually got a mental construct in their brain, I want to connect to that. Recognizing that I want to present a mental construct in my brain and I would like somebody to connect with that. And only secondarily then talk about what is the tool that makes that, most effective.
Oh,
So it
thank you
takes
so
both
much.
the human side as well as the tool side for this all to work.
Right. And I've been concentrating on the human side because I've learned this any tool will do if you know how to use it. And if a trike isn't working for you, then it's time to find a better tool, right? So, people who know tools try all kinds of tools. But the human element of it seems to be the really interesting part that, kind of loops back into the context of COVID and the mindset of everybody having to do things differently. Right. And feeling a change. And it's kind of like a silent enemy change. So we're all kind of on alert.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's one thing, but also particularly with the GCC, not to belabor things, I find there's unnecessary splashing in the pool when we got an ocean to swim in. And that really bothers me when the conversation goes that way and people stop leaning in and they want to accuse other people of things.
Well said.
For that.
Well said.
Yep.
Stacey?
So getting back to what's saying about the kindergarten, and so for me, my interest really stops at getting to know people. What I mostly want to do is get to know who the people are. And then I might be able to introduce different people to each other that could go ahead and go to the next level. For what I'm interested in, the brain would be perfect. And I could see using it together to make our own as like a group activity on very simply, just as a way to introduce who we are to each other, as a way to get to know each other. For me, that's something that combines socialization and an opportunity for people to connect and then take it to the first grade, the second grade, the third grade. And the other thing I wanted to mention is, so I've said it so many times, I'm tech challenged, yet I got very involved in Facebook and I learned lots of hacks for when a post was getting deleted or I wasn't able to send something. So once you're in that kindergarten room, that doesn't mean that something won't happen that will make you want to go on to first grade. So I think kindergarten is a really great place to start.
We've never lived in an age where if you want to learn something, especially technical, it's pretty near just a search away to get started.
And sometimes people are a great motivator. I mean, there have been things that I've learned because a friend that I really liked spending time with was involved in it. And to me, that's a good attractor.
Sam,
So,
did you want to? Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm suggesting gently that focusing both areas, the human system side of habits and values and motivation and personal preparation, as well as the tool side, which in my mind follows but also enables and empowers, is necessary. It's a two-way pursuit, at least in those two dimensions. And that if you see people introduce tools without understanding the human cultural side, or in the people side, if you say, oh, I just want to be able to have these conversations, and they disdain the use of even Zoom up until now, or Skype, or tools like MindMeister or Workflowy, then they can only go so far. And that's why I'm interested in people who recognize the value of both. Those are people I want to collaborate with. And in the absence of tools powerful enough to do what we're describing, then I'm thinking I want to collaborate with people who recognize the value of having those tools, as well as people who could actually help support the creation of those tools. One of the side effects of me doing my project at work the last several months is I'm actually writing code way, way more than I have in the last couple of decades. And it feels like a lot of fun. programming these days is very different than programming 20 or 30 years ago. It's really different. And some of you who are programming today don't know what it was like 20 or 30 years ago. And I stopped about 20, 30 years ago and just getting back into it. So to me, the difference is jarring. But it's a lot more fun lately. So anyway, that's a brief little statement about why I like the human side of things and the COI and the collaborology, as well as the technology side of things, which is the DKR, the Global Sim, the Addictopedia, you know, and the mesh of using each to empower the other is what I'm hoping we can actually do together. And I'm looking for people to try and do that. Over.
Yeah, I do a little input here.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, thanks. I really like that. And my feeling is that what we're doing here with the GCC so far, it's in the tiger eye. It's in the most relevant part of what will decide the future. It's in the conversations between human beings through these tools called the internet. And then there's the human systems and tool systems. And what comes to me is, isn't it so that the tool systems are a direct result of the human beings and how we behave in our relations with these machines, which we're holding in our hands and looking at the surfaces of them, and they're sending signals. So isn't it so that what is called artificial intelligence is really directed by human beings fundamentally? Because it's our paradigm, it's our tradition, it's our influence that pushes forward these algorithms. And these algorithms are a result of this. And there's no consciousness, there's no independent agency among them now or anyway too soon. They're absolutely dependent on us. And the meaning of these computer programs seem to totally depend on human beings, on us, on how we interact with them, on how we interact with the machines, and how we interact with each other in our signal transmissions. That brings it back to the conversation. And that's what we've been experimentally trying. We've been testing out conversations various ways. There's always something valuable that comes out of it. But more than that, if we want to take it further, and then we look at what is the possibilities of conversation? Where could we really take it? If we look at, let's say, GCC on its best days, on its really best moments, I think we had a few of those today. And those best moments, what have you expressed? What have you shared? What idea, what understanding has come forth from you at that moment? And I loved what Fallon said in last week's conversation that I listened to, that this is an opportunity to see all our wheels rolling. And often we pass people on the streets, we don't speak to them, we don't have the time, we don't have the space, who knows, for various reasons. We don't get to know all that's going on in their minds. There's a lot under the surface. And in these conversations, we can get some of that out. So we learn about each other. So as long as we listen, as long as we're interested, as long as we show just basic human, interest, compassion, then there's always something valuable to get out of just us meeting and exchanging this information, like Desmond was talking about, exchange this energy. So at the same time, I really feel it's such a big possibility that exists of really taking it further, using the brain, using Trello, using Basecamp, using Evernote, using all these tools together, all the best tools in the room, and just put them together and just let them build on each other, and then we can focus on the creation of the understanding, the creation of the content, the creation of the ideas. And there I see enormous opportunities. If human beings could really gather our understanding, our knowledge of what's true, of what's real, based on solid experience, based on the most solid of science and also of popular tradition, if we can really build on that and build a common understanding, then there can be a bridge into possibility. And that's obviously where it gets really interesting. Because if we can then co-vision a possible way of being together and then exemplify it and test it out through experiments, we could actually figure this out. And humans could get along fantastic. We could have a fantastic global society where everyone is shining. And that's entirely possible. And that's my big hope. And what we're exploring here is definitely something that could move us in this direction. It can become an engine for collective understanding, collective idea creation, collective formulations of good expressions and good, things we say together. And if we could really build on that and combine them in new ways, and then keep the conversation going, keep the listening going, keep the curiosity, the generosity going, and just go deeper and deeper and deeper, and just allow to go into the unknown, we could reach an incredible understanding together. And so let's keep going.
Thank you, Glenn. Yeah, go ahead, Fallon.
Can I give people some homework, Sam? Since
Only if they accept it. Yeah, you could put it out there, but
because my moderation is next week, and this would
okay, go ahead.
This would actually help me a lot. I'd love to know. I already kind of get a sense, given that Sam is definitely excited about Doug Engelbart's work. And I get a sense of how he looks at data and how, I guess, most tech people do who work with data from a programming standpoint. Now, what I'd like to know is when you think about a software, when you think about a tool, and this is for Glenn, this is for Colin, this is for everyone, how would you envision a tool that would be able to render your consciousness, your thoughts? I mean, we got a chance to see how TheBrain works, the software TheBrain, and visually, like when you think about navigating a tool, a software, imagine it's 100 years from now. How do you believe that people are going to be able to interface and use this extended cognition tools? How do you see that? What comes to mind when you think about that experience? Excuse me, guys, I'm so tired. So this is...
we understand. But that's a great idea, as if people want to think about that for next week. Thank you, Fallon. I just want to go to Alex. He posted a few things in chat.
Before we leave Fallon, though, I don't want to leave that thought hanging.
Oh, go ahead.
Because I was wondering, Fallon, would you like to write that up as a specific request in the Barn Raising Foundation Laying Messenger group or in the greater GCC, just so that people have it visually as a reminder to do before next Saturday?
Yeah, I'd like to do that. I would definitely love to do that. Maybe just start off a thread and see how that builds, and let that lead into Saturday.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Tom.
Sorry to
I
interrupt,
just wanted,
Eric.
yeah, I just wanted to go back to Alex. He posted a few comments, and I just want to hear him out.
I'm thinking about the cognition too. The bubbles that come from our imagination. Our imagination's driven by our morals or our devotion to some belief or some truth. And so when we interact and try and push our agendas, we've got this bubble to get through. And to see other people's bubbles, you need to think with your heart as well as your brain. Connect your brain together with your heart.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we're getting close to 1 o'clock, so if people just want to give anything they want to say going out, and I'm going to be leaving at 1, but thank you. Well,
I had a quick question for you, Eric, and that is, did the 3-minute timer achieve what you needed it to do?
I think it helped because I wanted to make sure everybody got a chance to talk and then express themselves and not be interrupted. So I believe it worked for me. If anyone else wants to comment on that.
I just want to say one word, and that is to address Fallon's question. Bubbles.
I like bubbles too. I like bubbles. And the funny thing is, I'm actually creating bubbles right now as we're speaking.
Stacy, were you trying to say something?
Yeah, I didn't realize I was on mute. I like the idea of the 3-minute timer also because it was very objective. So nobody felt like, how come they got more time? How come I'm being disrespected? You know, it was very clear. Your 3 minutes are gone.
Yeah, and I made it clear we'll come back to you after everybody has a chance to speak. Yep.
Right, I liked it.
Good.
Good. So I just have one more question, and that is, Josh, I know that you have a preference for having a session right after the 1st of the month. However, Fallon is next week, which is the 9th, and the week after that is the 16th. I don't know if that's early enough in the month for you. So you could either take that session or take the first session in June, whichever you like.
Oh, thank you so much. I would like to do the first session in June. My bandwidth resets on the 28th of the month. So the only time I can commit is right at the beginning of the month. Otherwise,
I'll see what Saturday is the first one after the 28th of May.
Thank you. And if the lockdown is officially over, I might get to go back to the city where I have fast bandwidth. So if that changes, I'll let you know.
Yeah, right. So that doesn't eat up your allocation then, right?
Yeah, then I'm on 500 up, 500 down, and I'm in heaven.
I'm envious if that's within reach. I get 20 down and maybe 16 up. You know, that's what I get, and I pay an arm, a leg, and a testicle.
Oh boy.
Well, let's talk, because I just started. I called up my service provider, which is Exceed. Viasat actually is the name of the company. It was Exceed, and I complained to them. They didn't slow me down at the end of the month. They actually speeded me up. It was strange. There's no rhyme or reason, but I got 45 down on Exceed. And then the beta testing, if you want to go in together for the Starlink system, the private beta, I think, is happening in 2 months, and the public beta should be happening in the next 3 to 6 months. So I would love to public beta test with you the Starlink system.
Cool. Send me some links. I'll take a look. Thanks.
You got it.
Okay. So at this point, I think the people who didn't go, like Jaswinder, unfortunately, I just found out last week. I did not know that Jaswinder, the weekend that he did not go, that he was allocated for, he was actually fighting off COVID-19 symptoms.
Oh my.
So I am tempted to offer the week after Fallon to Jaswinder if he'd like to go. And then I want to put myself in there at some point as well. So that's a meta comment for how this experiment is running. And after Josh or after me, then I'd like another session for us to all gather and really see if we can extract and share lessons learned from each of these sessions. What worked well, what didn't work well, how you saw different things working. Can we co-create a new agreement around moderation, around the way the session works, around the way topics are selected, around the way timing is allocated across, speakers, around whether or not we interrupt? I'd really like to see whether or not we can co-create that, because now that everybody's had a chance, or by then everybody would have had a chance, then I think we all have that stake, that investment, to try and make this work well. So that would be what I would invite after the last of us go. And then, just for the record, Colin, I didn't forget, there's Colin's request that we have a session around science and religion. So not sure that everybody's going to want to go to that one, but that's on the radar, and I'm willing if we all are in agreement about that. Yeah, Josh, you have your hand up.
Just a quick question. Now that everyone's more skilled with Zoom and how to host Zoom and how the passwords work in Zoom meetings, would you consider forking the Saturday meetings so that more information can spread and we can barn raise not only on Saturday in the morning?
I absolutely have been completely welcome to that all along. Barn raising, again, is not mine. Barn raising is ours. So if people want to do something on a different day, and I'm unable to attend, have at it. If it's on a different day and I can't attend, I'll be there. And the methods that we've applied here, the procedures, don't have to apply there. There can be many barn raising experiments going on. The only thing I ask is that we don't, harm each other. That's all. Other than that, a coexistence is what I'm looking for. And the more we can do in parallel, the more we learn, I think the better off we will all be eventually. So by the way,
and if there's barriers, I think one of the barriers to that, maybe with Doug, I think you log in on Sundays and then give him your login, press record, and then leave it. So if other people are not standing it up because they don't have a paid Zoom account, I just want to bring that out to the group, because it seems like it's easy when you have a paid Zoom account, but when you don't, then it's like, hey, how do I stand that up? Because I have to do that today with a hip hop group. Yeah. I do have a paid account, but I'm a little nervous about giving it out publicly to the underground hip hop community to get Zoom bombed. So
I found you could set a host key. Yeah, you could give a host key, and you could also set up a recurring meeting for people to use.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah. And you can also set recording to be automatic as well. So you don't actually, I think, have to give someone a host key for recording to take place. I haven't actually verified that, but that's my understanding. So we could try to experiment with that a little bit. And by the way,
it seems easy,
but for screen sharing, they'd need the host key.
Yeah, that's true. And there's someone from Taiwan that wants to participate, but says this is a very awkward time for Taiwan, just like it's an awkward time for Alex. So there is, I think, a willingness, at least on my part, to experiment with different other times to accommodate people from Taiwan or Africa or India or Russia. We can try to do some of that as well. I think we did try that with Fridays and Saturdays. Actually, some of you may not remember. This barn raising used to be 1 p.m. on Saturdays. And I think we've tried it as late as 3. And Fridays has been bounced around. Tammy had tried 10, 1, noon, etc. So we've tried other times, but for some reason, this 8 o'clock time Pacific has seemed to been a rut that we're kind of comfortable with. But I recognize it is a rut. So Josh, did you have anything specific in mind? Did you want to set something up?
Just a quick little document to be created. If you want to fork barn raising, here's how you do it. Here's the agreements, and here's step 1, step 2, step 3. So that if someone is stipend by that, they can do it in a way that helps to coexist and fork, so that we have better meetings at different times when we can't attend, but other barn raising people can. And it can
I'm just curious, is there a person or a topic or a different time that we could set up like right now?
Yes, I have one. a hip hop freestyle cipher at 1 p.m. on Saturdays.
Oh, you've already set that up.
I'm about to set it up, but I would love to make it a barn raising where if you know about Doug Engelbart or you want to freestyle rap about data or systems change or global challenges, conversations, communities, system, anything, you know, I would like to challenge the underground hip hop community to get more active in what we're doing.
Interesting. Am I audible yet?
You
Hello? Okay, good. My headphones were gone funny. I've been trying to talk a little bit. Sorry, not to give my feedback earlier. As far as the science and religion debate, yeah, it'd be nice to prepare for that, not just spring it on a day. Anyway, I'll talk more about preparation later, but I think I have a different expectations of what the GCC barn raising can be to what has happened up until now. Because I'm all about making sure we prepare for what we're going to do and then follow through, as opposed to just discussing. So that, you know, that's been a common theme that's been going through, and I don't mean that to come off too sarcastically, but yeah, I don't want to just have a dog fight about religion. I think there should be some preparation into that because it's a sensitive topic, and I think it deserves respect. And to just put me on the spot to be the token atheist, I don't think will work too good. And yeah, as far as
call it, but you don't have to take it personally.
No, I'm not taking it personally, but I'm just saying that I find that the conversation that I want to take part in is not representative of any of the conversations we've taken part in so far. So I would say no, if you just want to have a random one. As Phelan, it is an advantage to go to bed at 5 a.m. When you work all night and you say 5 a.m. should I go to bed or stay up? Definitely get that 3-4 hours sleep. That's what I did last night, and it works wonders. Definitely choose the sleep. And as far as the timer, Sam, yeah, I think that's something we should adopt, and we should look at towards, you know, my lament, how we can collect things along the way. And, you know, I thought Visio was going to be Trello was going to be one of those things. I was quite happy about that. I'm also happy about this new focusing form where people can take a little bit more runway. And I feel like, you know, not being able to get ready was part of, you know, why I think I didn't present or have presented well yet my ideas. And if this is even the right forum to present them. For example, when you mentioned about the religion thing, I saw a comment come through for Alex about inviting the flat earthers. That's exactly the kind of comment I don't want to be involved with in religion. You know, it's not something to be taken lightly. It's anyway. So and something else for Phelan about. Oh yeah, Phelan, you were saying about a way to navigate. Well, that's kind of what, as well as looking at the human aspect of understanding navigation and thought trails and things, you know, tracking conversations. Like I think was an attempt today to track a conversation. There's an upper layer of navigation that needs to be put on top of this, and even automated in some way, like a butler, so that you can drill down. But you know, it's like Sam says, it's not something to be simple. So you need that complicatedness underneath. But how do you navigate it in a simple manner? That's the thing.
Yeah,
that's really hard.
That's what I've been thinking about, and I've been looking at different types of symbols. I've been looking at how is it that you would render your consciousness? How is it that you would render this digital representation of yourself that you can interact with as extension of your cognition? We're doing it on the brain a little bit, but just dream about what it would look like in the future for people to actually do it. What does that representation look like? You know, if you were to render it, what would it look like?
Look like Glenn's diagrams.
I think.
Okay, I'm going to get going. Thanks, everybody.
I'm going to make a 2-hour drive to go pick up something that I need to go pick up right now.
Okay, thanks, everybody.
I just want to say thank you. I think that today was awesome, really, really valuable. And to all of the people here, I would love to have one-on-one conversations if you want that, because it's a lot of things I would love to share and explore together. I think there's so many more interesting things we can do.
Let's put them on the
Hopefully.
backlog in Trello. But Eric, before you go,
Yeah.
The entire time I've been trying to stifle my enthusiasm because I love TheBrain, and I don't want to come across too biased. Okay.
Initially, it helps. Yes,
You know?
I know. The question is, what do you do with all this next?
Yeah, and there's so much more that the rest of us who are not familiar with Brain haven't yet seen of TheBrain.
Yeah.
You know. Anyway.
Yes. So anyone could download this into their own copy of TheBrain and work on it locally too. So yeah, there's all kinds of possibilities.
Yeah. By the way, just for the record, it is a paid product, and that's one of the reasons I don't use it right now. It lost 50% of my data one time, and I got spooked on that. But I did call them this week, and it's going to cost me $150 a year to get back onto it. I'm actually seriously thinking about doing so.
That's try the free product first, and just see where you run into the need for extra features before you pay, maybe.
Well, the free product is only online, right?
No, you could download an app, run it on your phone or desktop.
Okay.
So you could download your Brain or anyone else's Brain to a BRZ file.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Thanks a lot,
Thanks, everybody.
Okay.
Bye.
Yeah,
Next
that was
week,
really
Colin,
good. Eric.
Looking forward to your session next week.
Sam, reach out to Carl Heavenstraight. I don't know if you heard me.
Carl,
I'm not sure.
right? What about Carl?
Carl just texted. I invited him when the meeting started because of TheBrain. He's been trying to get people to work with TheBrain with him, and even sharing his account. So please reach out to him because he's really dying to work with TheBrain. So
Yep.
True. Yeah.
By the way,
very
any
true.
of you got that knows Jerry? I know Jerry personally. You know, I went to his workshop. He and I correspond. We have common friends together. I am familiar with Jerry and his big brain.
Yeah, I'm familiar with Jerry
Yeah,
too.
I'm
He's
just saying,
pretty cool.
let's make a community around people that want to use TheBrain. If Carl's still letting me use his account, I have access too, so we can share brains back and forth.
Nice.
But the more of a community, I know you know the community, we don't. So Carl is really in need of you. He's calling me right now.
Okay.
So,
all right. Tell him I'll ping him probably tomorrow because I got to get on the road. Okay.
Have a good one.
I'll tell him.
All right. Thanks. Carl, I'll ping you tomorrow.
Carl, I'll ping you tomorrow if you can hear, Carl.
Carl, I'll ping you tomorrow. I got to get on the road. Okay.
Hey, I'm just on the end of the GCC. I told him Sam to get in touch with you, and he's like, I'll ping him tomorrow.